Okay, so started doing the driver's side now, and not going to say it went smoother, it's problems, but a different set of problems. First of all, removing the battery and the battery compartment, the battery tray, and the fuse box, all of that is a real pain. There's no other word to describe it. It's a real pain. There's the tray, there's the battery, there's the tray. It's not nice to do. These are stuck in the tray, which means somehow or another, I don't know why these need to be secured to the tray. I don't know where else they're going to bounce, but I kind of pulled them out. I don't know if I've ruined them while I did that, but I just pulled them out and I'll push them back in. They're not going to go anywhere. And it's the same with some clip here. There's one here and there's one there. I pulled those out. So I might have wrecked those, but like I said, they're not taking any stress. It's just there to hold them in place. So once I put them back in the hole, if some of these plasticky things are broken, it doesn't really make any big difference. But there's 3 screws to take out. There's one that's here, there's one that's here, which is the hardest one to get to, and then there's one there. I had this secured here, I don't know why, on one of there you can see the 4 bolts there for the struts. And then on one of them is this secured. I don't know what this is. I keep spinning it, nothing happens. But I just put a screwdriver there and pried this plastic thing up to get that off. And now I've secured it back again. When you remove the battery tray, there's a little clip underneath which has to be secured back. And you have to open the fuse box. You open the fuse box and you remove this. And remove this here so that you can, what I did is I just had the fuse box was here and I just flipped it up and put it there and sort of held it so it's not moving anywhere. And then I wanted to get the tray out. The tray, like I said, was a real bugger to get out, but I knew if I didn't get it out, it's already tight enough as it is to work. With the tray there, it would be just more tight. I knew it couldn't be done. In this one here, because I'm doing the upper control arms too, so there's one bolt for the upper control arm. You can see it right there. And then the other one is tight, just like it was in the other on the passenger side. It's tight. I don't know, my camera's not pointing when I'm looking. Okay, there it is. So you can see right there. Okay. And it's tight to get to because you have the steering columns in the way. And so that makes it that much more tricky, but I just used the same tools I had last time, put an extension on and got to it. And it has those retainer clips which help from the nut from spinning. Something you need to be a bit careful on this side is these are your brake lines here, so you don't want your retainer clip to hit your brake lines. Once you do this nut, the whole bolt isn't going to come out because this brake line is in the way and it doesn't move. So what you have to do is underneath here is a little nut. Remove that nut and budge this towards you. Pull it towards you. Wiggle it out towards you. And that will give us slack on the other side to be able to get that bolt out. Okay, so here little easier in terms of I knew what I was doing, so I loosen this bolt here. I know the correct names now, so what is it? The clevis bracket, so the upper clevis bracket, the lower clevis bracket, undid the bolt there. Then you've got this stabilizer link. I undid that stabilizer link there, and then I did the upper control arm knuckle, and I undid that bolt there. Now what happened with this one is when it got to about there, it wouldn't come any lower. It would just spin and spin and spin, and I couldn't get it any lower, and so I didn't know what to do. I could have put some pliers there and really, because I'm replacing this anyhow, so I knew I wasn't going to keep this. So because it kept spinning, I could have put up some pliers there and tried my hardest to get it out, but I couldn't be bothered with that. I'm not keeping it. So what I did is I just, there it is there, I just cut it. I just got a cutting tool and I cut the bolt off there. And that's fine. And then that came off. That came off. Well, the whole suspension, the whole lower control arm, and I didn't undo the lower control arm, but everything just dropped. And then I completely undid the 4 bolts at the top before I just made them loose, and then dropped everything out. Sorry, what I did first was I undid this bolt completely, and then using my, same like I did on the other side, I didn't deviate too much with this. Once I undid this bolt here, with this I got it in there and just pried and pried and pried, and used the hammer and just knocked it down, and then this clevis bar completely dropped, undid the 4 bolts and dropped that out. When I was putting back in, I then attached the clevis bar straight to the strut and then just put it in. And it's easier when the upper control arm is out. And in all honesty, if you're replacing these, you might as well replace the upper control arms. You've already got everything out from the engine bay anyhow. I mean, my vehicle's an 02. It's 2017 now. Mine's an 02. It's been on the road since 01. It's 300,000 kilometers. So if you're replacing the suspension, you might as well replace those because the bushings are probably worn out anyhow. Okay, so I'll get back to you. Okay, so just a quick interruption there. Yeah, so then this time I was careful, made sure my brake line was behind and not coming in front. I remembered I took care of that and made sure I hung it in the right place and out of the way. Other than that, I think everything's okay. In mine, like I was telling you before, when I take it to the dealers, they always break something or another. This stabilizer link, this is the upper stabilizer link, which I loosen, and then this sort of comes forward, and then the whole suspension drops once you do all the other bolts. But my lower stabilizer link, once I undid that bolt, this one had a lot of play in it. So I tried to see if I could tighten it to the specs, the Torx. What's happened is the actual bolt on this side, the retainer's missing, and also the actual bolt on this side is completely worn out. So I can't, it's just spinning and spinning, so I don't know what to do. But when I put this on and tightened it to spec, this whole stabilizer link isn't moving, it's not going anywhere, it's pretty secure. So what I think is it's been tightened to spec, but it's just spinning, no one can loosen it. But that's again, something you take to the dealership, they break it, they don't tell you, they don't fix it, and you're left, and anyway. So I'm not going to worry about that. It's pretty tight. It's not going anywhere. What else? Yeah, and then after that, just put your discs on. You got your 212mm on this side. Take your caliper, put your caliper back in. What you do is you use the G clamp. There's other videos to show specifically on brakes, but you use your G clamp. You use probably don't have it now. Use a flat piece of wood. Okay, I don't have it, but you just press. You just press it back. Like, I don't know the correct terminology for these things. You just press it back, and that will help you to. That will push the brake fluid back through the pipes. It will push that that circular disc back, and then you can easily get the caliper back on, and then do your 12mm bolts inside. Like I said, that's 11 foot-pounds of torque. I don't have a torque wrench for that smaller value, so just tight enough, I suppose. And that's it. And now I'm going to put the wheel back on, and then I will do this tomorrow because it's pretty dark outside and I only have this bulb and I don't want to get it wrong, or it's pretty late at night, so I'll deal with that tomorrow. And then once that's on, I have to remember to pump the brake 5 times as soon as I start the car, and then I'll take it for a spin. It should get rid of some of those noises, and then we do the rear. Then I do the rear shocks, so I'll do a video about that. Okay, so I'll get back once I've got all of this back in the engine bay sorted.